It's June 25th, 2012, and we're standing on Utah Beach. Our soldier Horace J. Bonino stormed the beach, went up there in order to head that way towards Cherbourg. Now, by this time, June 6, 1944 D-Day had already occurred, so there weren't that many German soldiers at that point. So when Horace came up here, he didn't really have to worry about being shot at.
However, as these World War II photos from the National Archives show, the fighting to capture Cherbourg was brutal.
It is my honor to share with you the life of a dedicated soldier in World War II, Horace J. Bonino. Horace was well known by many as Corky. His elementary school principal, Mrs. Stevens, gave him the nickname Cork due to his short height. The name followed him as he grew up to be an outgoing young man. Corky was the oldest son of Mary and Nunzio Bonino. He had a love for music and entertaining anyone who was in his presence, which was often, as he grew up in a home with 10 relatives, including his grandmother and 3 siblings, Frank, Alice, and Edith. His youngest sister Edith told me when we met that Corky was a big tease and was happiest when he was playing the accordion, playing song after song. Growing up, she always believed he would have a career in entertainment. Corky expanded his love for music when he joined the Jed Summers Chuckwagon Boys, a group that became very popular and could be heard on the local radio. The band broke up when Corky and most of the other members of the band became enlisted men. Corky's youngest brother Frank joined the Army as well. Corky entered the service in November of 1942 when he was 20 years old and was sent to Europe in April of 1944. Before leaving, he had a big going-away party at the clubhouse. It was a place where everyone could dance and celebrate Corky going off to war. After leaving, Corky kept close ties to his family and would send letters telling them he was well. Corky had a close relationship to his mother Mary, who would send weekly Army care packages with items like salamis, warm socks, or homemade cookies to each of her 2 sons and even their friends. Corky displayed great courage when he was wounded June 22, 1944, during a German attack while trying to capture Cherbourg. In order to get help for his company, Corky had to fight his way through an enemy mortar barrage. Despite being wounded, he successfully delivered his message and the Germans were stopped. But Corky's act of heroism would be his last. 2 days later, he died of his wounds. This honorable man was the first World War II soldier to die from Rocky Hill, Connecticut. The second Rocky Hill boy to fall just 6 weeks later was Corky's own brother, Frank. The loss devastated their mother, who even years later continued to dress in black. Corky was honored with the Purple Heart and the Silver Star. A dispatch from the War Department recognized him for his indomitable courage and valiant determination to carry out his mission despite his wounds. It must not go unmentioned that he was truly dedicated to serving his country, as he could have received a military deferment due to his employment at the Connecticut Foundry Company, a defense-related industry. But he was inspired to serve by his father, Nunzio, who fought for the United States, his adopted country, in World War I. Horace Corky Bonino will always be remembered not just for his actions in war, but also for the fun-loving, caring person that everyone knew him as. I am honored to share with you the life of Corporal Frank J. Bonino, a man remembered for his courageous service in World War II. Frank was born on Christmas Eve 1923 in Rocky Hill, Connecticut, to Mary and Nunzio Bonino. He had a close bond to his older brother Horace and his 2 younger sisters, Alice and Edith. He was the more reserved one in the family, but if you asked, people would say he was always thoughtful and caring. His home was lively and loving, with 10 people, including his grandmother, living there. Growing up in his musically oriented family, Frank showed a love for singing and dancing. He also enjoyed sports, and in the wintertime, he would skate on the neighborhood pond. After graduating from Wethersfield High School in 1941, he worked at the Hartford Machine Screw Company as a cargo checker for items being shipped out. Less than 2 years later, Frank was drafted into the Army. Frank was proud to serve his country, just like his own father, an immigrant from Italy, who had served America in World War I. Frank served as a technician in the Ordnance Department, but during the war he became close friends with a chaplain from Chicago named Franny, who eventually asked Frank to become his driver. Right before the June 6th invasion, Frank met in England for one last time with his brother Horace, also a soldier about to sail for Normandy. On August 6, 1944, Frank was driving the chaplain in Le Havre, France, when his Jeep collided with a U.S. tank. Though the chaplain survived, Frank was killed instantly, becoming the second Rocky Hill boy to lose his life in World War II. Frank never learned that the first fallen soldier from Rocky Hill, killed only 6 weeks earlier, was his own brother, Horace. Frank's mother never quite recovered from the loss of both her sons. Nearly 70 years later, Frank's sister Edith still cries when she thinks of her brothers and wonders what her family would be like if her brothers had survived. Just like his sister, I wondered a lot during this project about how many what-ifs. I can't imagine the strength it took for the Bonino family, especially their mother Mary, to continue. I now understand that thanks to their tremendous sacrifice, my generation has a better future.